as their marketing manager. I think he just did the interview incidentally. Yes. My name is JanPearson, and Proverse has just published my third novel as one of the supplementary prizes in the Proverse literary competition, and it is called Black Tortoise Winter. I shall not nag you to buy it. I shall never expect you to buy it because you're all people of sound taste and experience, and you will not hesitate to say that. We're all reading from prepared scripts because we are on strict time limit. So do excuse me if I dip my head and try and remember what I wrote 3 weeks ago before I returned.
Yeah, Jan, speak up a bit.
We have got rid of the good evening, etc. Black Tortoise Winter is the name of my third book. It is a murder mystery story set in Hong Kong in 1979. The publication of Black Tortoise Winter, a result of receiving a supplementary award in the 2015 Proverse Prize competition, brings my contribution to the crime novel scene in Hong Kong to 3. I sometimes wonder if I keep writing books set in Hong Kong to have an excuse to return more often than I may otherwise be able to do. You may have guessed that I live in Australia, and don't live in Australia. This third book also means that somehow, during the past 5 or 6 years, I have managed to produce a trilogy of Pearl Green and James Gates mysteries, without ever intending to do so when I set out to write about life in Hong Kong during the 1960s, which is when I lived here. I lived here for nearly a decade with my folks back in the 60s. With something of a pattern emerging in these titles, my books are called Tiger Autumn, Redbird Summer, Black Tortoise Winter. I thought it time that the books, spanning as they do from 1964 to 1979, and which are linked by continuity of characters, were at the point where they could be rolled up into one entity. Black Tortoise Winter is the first to bear the title The Celestial Symbols Series, which is a perfectly beautiful title. I'm sure it's not original, though I did Google it and couldn't actually find it had been taken up anywhere else. So fingers crossed. I wish in retrospect that it had simply been the Celestial Symbols Trilogy, which may act as a deterrent to my adding further to the number of Green and Gates mysteries. It is so enjoyable to revisit the same set of characters time after time, to throw a different set of problems at them, new characters into the mix, 2 Native American Indians in the case of Black Tortoise Winter, think about it, and observe how the group dynamics shift when invariably threatening circumstances crop up that plagues one or more of the group. Will the group divide or coalesce? Will loyalties be threatened, relationships ruined, or will all end well? The celestial symbols, of course, reference the mythological centre of old China, animals occupying the cardinal points of the compass which guard both China and her emperors. All have clear attributes, and each book uses some of each animal's qualities in a metaphorical sense. Temperament, attributes of power or wisdom, the representative season, their medium, their moods. In Black Tortoise Winter, it takes all of the qualities of wisdom and courage that the mythological turtle can harness to the characters Pearl, her father James Gates, friend Yip Yee Koon, and former old-style Hong Kong spook Peter Benson, to overcome criminal forces which enter their lives during the twitchy Hong Kong winter of 1979. 1979 is the year in which China began opening its doors to foreign investment in the push to become a more highly developed industrialised nation. Hong Kong, firmly established as Southeast Asia's finance hub by this time, did, however, pause to ponder its future in these new economic times in a somewhat uneasy manner. History tells us that outmigration increased, a pattern which persisted throughout the 80s, but refugees continued to arrive in Hong Kong in unprecedented numbers, particularly from Vietnam in 1979, when the Viet Cong commenced a program of ethnic cleansing. Hong Kong also experienced extreme weather in 1979, and even a film featuring Hong Kong being caught up in a natural disaster, struck an uneasy chord in the public mind. And by the way, Mr. Sean Connery and Miss Natalie Wood were the stars of the movie. It was called Meteor, and it's extremely bad, and I don't recommend it. I borrowed this film in my novel to strike an uneasy chord in one of the characters' minds in Black Tortoise Winter, and found it quite effective in ruining her evening off. Towards the end of this twitchy year then, Pearl Green returns after a 3-year absence on the same day. An uneasy ambassador for a nation of Native American Indians arrived to put in motion the wheels of a philanthropic project to benefit the people. Immediately out of his depth in Hong Kong, Marcus Brown gets into trouble and sees his future much like that of the lead actor in Midnight Express, another dreadful 1979 film. Namely, he sees himself languishing in Victoria Jail for the rest of his life, while Pearl Green, as she rounds up her father and old friends to help Marcus out, becomes caught up in deep trouble as well, which is really, in this case, more similar to Sigourney Weaver's Trials and Tribulations in another dreadful 1979 film, Aliens. It's so dreadful it's become a cult classic. Black Tortoise Winter, in the same vein as my 2 early books, Tiger Autumn and Redbird Summer, is a pacey novel with a complex plot. I believe readers who like to read crime like to have some plot complexity attached to it rather than the body in the living room, the guests locked up, the police inspector, the result. So if you read my books, you really need to be quite desirous of following a plot line that will take you on a bit of a merry chase, which is very good for the waistline. My mother remains my inspiration for writing. For my writing about a much older Hong Kong. And I continue to be grateful to this woman who insisted that I, as her teenage daughter, when I would much rather have been shopping, accompany her into the walled city of Kowloon, to sampan communities, refugee camps, and Hong Kong's then leprosaurium on Haiding Chow Island, in her dedication to different strands of charity work. Seeing parts of Hong Kong rarely visited by Caucasians gave me an appreciation of Hong Kong life not many 16-year-olds, more interested in the party circuit than tramping around some pretty dodgy places, ever get to see. Once again, I am grateful to Gillian and Verna Bickley for their continuing support of my writing efforts. The writer of an advanced response to this latest book, Black Tortoise Winter, has very kindly noted that Black Tortoise Winter will satisfy readers interested in diving into Hong Kong's history via a mysterious, intricate story. I actually think that's a better summation from this lady than I could have thought myself in just a few words. Thank you very much, everyone.